I'm making this video because it's very important that I find people who understand what I'm talking about. And almost everybody I deal with is a complete loser. And I'll explain what a loser is. A loser is not somebody who's poor, A loser is not someone who happens to be in a bad circumstance or a bad situation or who doesn't have money or something like that. A loser is someone with a mentality that they've internalized this concept that they are weak and that other people are weak and that success is not possible. And they just say, why try, we'll just fail anyway. They always say that. And of course they fail at everything. You can never be successful if you just always say, why try, we'll just fail, oh, it's impossible. If you have that mentality, of course you're going to lose. And that's what I mean by a loser. If I go to work, alright, I work at a restaurant. Every job there, a monkey could do it. A trained monkey could do it. A mental retard could be a server, a bartender, a cook, a dishwasher, whatever it is. But you go in there and say, I'll go in there and say, I like to be a server because they make a lot more money. No, you're not good enough. It can't be done. Why don't you give me a chance? No, it's impossible. Now, that's the kind of mentality I always deal with. But, what I'm looking at is finding people who can work together, and we could be rich, we could be very successful, and it's very easy if you have people to work together. But people aren't looking at solutions. They go to Hofstra Society and they try to insult me. They go out of their way trying to find things to insult or to cry, why try, we'll just fail, and it's just this complete loser mentality. They're not focused on solutions, they're not focused on accomplishing goals, they're not focused on learning things or listening to things. They just want to insult people and cry about failure, and they're loser. It's a loser mentality. And people who have money and have good jobs, they have this loser mentality. People who are poor have this loser mentality. Like, I don't know what's wrong with people. I can't meet not one person that seems well adjusted and have a good head on their shoulders. It's just non-stop unnecessary problems, unnecessary failure coming out of people who they don't act right. It's the mentality, it's the attitude. That's the main thing. It's 80% attitude. It's not that you have to be a genius or anything, or you have to be Hercules. It's just that you need to try in life. And if you fall down, you pick yourself up again and you keep on trying. If you fall off the horse, you get right back on it. And that's how you live life. But none of the people I'm around understand that. Maybe, if I'm lucky, maybe some military people who have kind of been trained and taught to win a little bit might be halfway decent. Those are usually the best people I deal with. But even them, it's just, I cannot find people that just have a basic mentality of, okay, let's do this. Let's do it. Let's look at solutions. Let's focus on goals. Let's accomplish those goals. Let's work together. Nobody wants to do it. Not one. I could meet 100 people. They'll insult me. They'll scream, why try, we'll just fail anyway. They'll scream that you're a loser, I'm a loser, everybody's a loser. That's all they ever talk about. But they'll never put an effort into accomplishing a goal. They'll never put an effort at all. They don't want to listen to it. I sit down and talk to them like, here, let me educate you on how we can do better. They don't want to listen to it. They'll just call me names. We're just going to fail anyway. Why try? You're dumb. This is dumb. Everything's stupid. You're funny. You're funny because, you're living in a fantasy because you think you can win at something. That's all. My God, dude, I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed with this bullshit. My God. But it's not that hard to really change your situation. I understand that you go to work and you can be really smart. You can be Albert Einstein and they still pay you below poverty wages. You can make $1 million a year for your boss and he'll pay you like 15 grand and you can barely live on it. I understand that. I understand you rent a place and the guy is charging you as much rent as he possibly can. Your employer is trying to pay you the lowest wage you can possibly get away with. Everybody's trying to use you and take advantage of you, and life is really hard, and it's hard to believe sometimes when you're struggling in life that it's possible to be really successful, and just your life can change like that, like the snap of a finger. Your entire life can turn around if you just meet just even one person who can work together with you and has your interest in mind. I'm here trying to help people. I'm not the employer that's trying to pay you a tiny wage. I'm not trying to milk you for all I can get like most of these people out here. I'm the one person that's trying to find other people and work together and help them. And they're too stupid. They're too caught up in a loser mentality to take advantage of that opportunity. Prosperous society offers you opportunities. It's a tool, it's a resource for you. It's something that costs you practically nothing. I mean, it's like free. Like here's $1 million. If somebody came up to you and just said, here's a bag full of money, you wouldn't believe it. You think it's too good to be true because you're so used to losing all the time. You're so used to everything sucking and never hearing any good news that you can't accept it when there is good news. And that's the problem. But this stuff is simple. Let me explain. Like, if I just had a roommate, just one person who's the same as me, just the same level of intelligence, mentality, or similar, within the same ballpark, I would save thousands upon thousands of dollars a year just in rent. And that money could easily be put into investments. And within 10 years, I could have, a $100,000 investment. It's that simple. I could pay for my college and move up in life. Just one person, one good roommate. But instead, if I get a roommate, they steal from me, they're on drugs, they don't pay their bills, they don't show up to work, they cost me money. They run my electric bill up, it's like 10 times higher. They'll have the air conditioning on with the windows open, and I mean, they're a burden. Like, they cost me money instead of saving me money. And that's one of the biggest things is rent. That's your biggest expense. And I'll go around and try to get people to work together. Like, you can save money, you can invest that money in a business, you can invest that money in college, and it's like a snowball effect. It multiplies on itself. $10 become, if you save $10 and you invest it, 5 years later that $10 is now $50. If you're able to save $100 a month, in a year, that's $1,200. If you invest that and you have a 10% return, your money's going to double in 8 years. So, you're going to have, I don't know exactly the math here, but, eventually, say 10 years down the road, you're saving $100 a month and you're putting it into the stock market and you're getting a 10% return on it, you're going to have $15,000 or something like that, Just all these little things add up. And if I say that to people, they call me names, they insult me, I'm weak, I'm just looking to lean on other people because I'm weak. That's what they'll say. They'll come up with every insult, every excuse, but none of them can be relied upon to better themselves. They're not bettering themselves. They're not useful to themselves. They're not useful to other people. But at the same time, graduate students at the University of Cincinnati, they're in the same situation I am. They're poor. They have very little income because they're going to college. They're making minimum wage, or they're living off financial aid or money their parents send, which is not a lot. So they're living off of below poverty wages. But they live well. They're living it up. They're having the time of their life because they're smart and because they have other smart people to work with. So they buy like a giant house, or they rent out a giant house, I should say, and they split the rent, so they're paying like $200 a month rent, where if you live by yourself, you're paying $600-700. Now they have the same size space, they're living in a nicer neighborhood and everything. There's no sacrifice. And how are they able to do this? It's called working together and having a minimum level of intelligence. A 1-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,000 square foot apartment might cost you $500. A 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,000 square foot apartment, exactly double, It's 2 of those apartments put together. It doesn't cost $1,000. It costs maybe 600 or 700. You see, it's called buying in bulk. Now you get a 3-bedroom, 3-bath house. It doesn't cost triple. You know, like if you take 4 or 5 people and you buy a huge house with 3 bathrooms and, you know, 6 bedrooms and in a nice neighborhood, it's actually cheaper. When you split the rent between everybody, it's cheaper. But you have to be able to rely on those people to pay the rent. That they can act responsible. They can be responsible adults. They can understand simple things. They can work in their own self-interest. They can work in their own best interest, which is also happens to be your best interest. It's so simple. Chinese immigrants come and do the same thing. They stack up money. They got $20,000 in their safe, and they're working in a restaurant cooking rice. You know, they're not graduating from college and being doctors and lawyers. They're just working in a restaurant, and they have piles of money. You know, because they're working together. It's not that hard. It's not complicated. Yet, I cannot find one person that seems to have enough brains to just pay their bills on time and work with someone and be reliable. Just to be a reliable person. Instead, they're high on drugs all the time, crying, why try will just fail. It's just nonsense. Now, where I'd like to be, I'd like to start investing where I have $1 million business. Where I have $1 million in real estate holdings. And I know that may sound ridiculous. Oh, you're broke, you're poor, you know, you don't have anything. How can you make $1 million? It's easy. But you need people to work together with. If you buy a $100,000 house, you get a loan from the bank, you put money down, 10% down or whatever, and you rent it out. Okay, the rent pays your mortgage for you. It's not that hard of a concept. And you even have money left over a lot of times. Once you build equity in that house, you take out another loan and you buy another house. And if you have 10 of those houses, you got $1 million worth of property. And the house is paid off in 15 years. You get a 15-year mortgage, you rent it out, the renters pay your mortgage for you, in 15 years you got a $100,000 house. And you're still getting, you know, the $1,000 a month in rent or whatever it is, the income for life, basically. You know, it's not really that hard to do these things. You know, work together, save money, go to college, quadruple your income because you now got a college degree, buy a business. You don't have to have $1 million to buy $1 million business. You take out a loan. You take out a loan from the bank, and then you make payments every month. The same thing if you rent out an apartment building or you rent out a house. You know, you don't have to be a millionaire to get started in business and stuff like that. But another thing is like a small business. You know, it would be so much easier for me to start a little lawn care business or a carpet cleaning business. But you got to pay insurance. You know, you got to pay for your business license. And to do that by yourself, it's not worth the money. You're not going to make enough to cover it. You don't have enough time. You're probably going to have a regular job on the side too when you first start out. But if you have 5 people working together and they're all contributing to the business, going out, putting out advertisements, talking to people, getting jobs, and you're generating enough revenue and you're busy enough, then it's easy to pay the insurance. It's easy to pay the licensing fees. It's easier. I mean, it's just working together. That's all it is. It's not about being weak. It's not about leaning on other people. It's just that you can accomplish more together than you can accomplish alone. I mean, it's amazing. It's the difference between being a millionaire and living under a bridge is just having a couple people to work together with. And it may seem hard to believe, but it's true. It's just a fact if you stop and think about it. And all these idiots I deal with, if they stopped and used their brain for a second, just stop and think about what I'm telling you. Do some research. Talk to people. Read books. You'd understand what I'm saying is true. Instead of flinging countless insults, being a big loser, being a failure, you know, why don't these people, someone out here, make an effort to better themselves? Make an effort. I mean, if you're in a similar situation as myself, then you can benefit enormously from teaming up with me. And then we find another person, a third person, a fourth person. Even if you're not in the same situation, even if you're doing well for yourself. There was a guy, you know, he had his own house, And he could have took out a mortgage on it and bought this investment that I told him when real estate was down. And the profits there would have been, what was it? Yeah, it would have been $150,000 in like 2 years. The housing prices went up that much, $150,000. That's 75 grand a year made sitting on your ass. And instead, he wanted to call me names and not do this. And instead of being rational and intelligent, you know, he screwed himself over. You know, I'm weak, I'm stupid, I'm just looking to lean on people, you know. It went off in the same stuff. Same bullcrap. I hear it all the time, you know. I'm trying to tell people, like, look, try to use your brain for a second, you know. And it's almost a waste of time. That's all I gotta say, man. I mean, hopefully I can find one person with a brain and a winner's attitude. And I mean, just have a winner's attitude and work together and accomplish goals and come up with ideas, and we can do things together. That's all.